Well, today we talked about the power of obedience and how we can shape our lives, our relationships, and the work that we do just by obeying a voice that is outside of us. In the message today, I gave 3 reasons for obedience, stating that all reasons are not created equal. At the beginning, we obey an authority out of duty, out of responsibility. Either we defer to the good of the many or we just defer to the will of the one who is in charge. So it's largely motivated by fear. We're trying not to get punished. We want to stay in a good light. We want to get promoted, whatever it is. And so we obey in order to improve our chances. But in the second reason for obeying, the middle of this pyramid, we talked about wisdom. When we obey out of wisdom, we begin to internalize the rules and say, these are not just things imposed by an authority. These are just good common sense. When I do these things, it leads to a fuller life. And when I don't do them, it leads to some pretty harsh consequences. And I really don't want those. I'm going to walk in the way of life. But now we not only obey rules, we start to create some of our own rules because we're trying to flourish in this world. But at the top of the pyramid, or the highest form of obedience, is to obey out of love. When we obey out of love, it's for what is in the other person. It's not for what's in us. And it's not because it's the rule. It's because we value the other person and we want their lives to get better and we want to give our support to the thing that they're trying to do. So now we not only obey the rules, we write the rules more than we had before because we want to reflect this loyalty and allegiance to another person. Here's how I think this applies. Here's how I think you might use it. Start with a conversation in your group or in your organization about rules. Ask people to list some of the rules, stated or unstated, and then ask them to tell you which rules do they think make sense and which rules do not make sense. Then ask them if they keep any rules themselves that are not rules of the organization, as kind of guardrails to integrity. Then ask them why. Why do you do that? Why do you do more than is required in some areas, but you struggle to do even what's required in other areas? And very quickly, you'll get at the difference of obedience. They'll start to realize that there are some things for me as pure duty and responsibility, and there's other things that I'm actually seeing the wisdom in this. And then there's other things yet that I just love the other person, and so I'm loyal to them. Try, if you can, to move the group or the team higher up the pyramid, out of duty, responsibility, into at least wisdom, and say, the reason that we have these rules in our organization or our family is because they lead to a fuller life. They don't just make my job easier. And then maybe you go out by talking together about what you will do for love. What is it that you'll do for love that you wouldn't do for any other reason? I think you're in a strategic place to talk about obedience in this community in ways that probably nobody else is talking about. Most leaders are only concerned that people obey. They never ask why. But we can't make disciples, at least not the kind we want, until we can get them to obey for a higher reason. Not just duty, not even wisdom, but to obey for the cause of love. As you do that, once more, I want you to know I'm praying for you in the mornings. Many of you by name, because I know the organizations or the families that you lead. And I'm praying that God will use your life as a living witness of His presence in that place.